Okay, I'm at 1101 Chateau Drive in Dayton, Ohio. We're doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, bellies, which are like low spots, basically anything that would be of concern to the buyer. The access point here is an outside clean out. You can see this here, right underneath the window just to the right of the front corner of the house. You can see there's the driveway behind us, and so it's not quite the center of the house overall, but it's just right just to the left of the right front corner, to the left of the driveway. So the cap here, it's a little loose, so we may suggest using some sort of like expansion plug. It's a few dollars to get one. Just make sure it's the right size. Might help. You want to keep mulch and stuff out of there. But this is cast iron. Yeah, as you can see, there's a bunch of mulch down in here already. But it's not a big deal. We'll run some water and it should flush all this stuff right on out of the pipe. So on the interior, this is cast iron, and so is obviously the clean out here. Because of the access point, we're unable to inspect the little bit of line that's under the house, just from the bathroom to this point, which isn't far, maybe 15 feet or so. And that's due to the way that they design these clean outs, is that they have a sweep. And so what they do is they force you to go one direction, which is downstream or out towards the main. And so the interior line is cast iron. Got a little bug crawling around in there. The interior line is cast iron, which is normal for this age of house. But I like to make a few notes on that. The major thing is just that it is rough, as far as it does rust, and so you can never truly tell what kind of life expectancy it has. You're looking for functionality, but you can't really tell how thin or thick the pipe wall is at any given moment. But mainly with cast iron, I always like to make sure to let people know not to use wet wipes. Soft clogs are a lot more prevalent. Soft clog meaning like toilet paper, excessive toilet paper, or like I said, wet wipes. They tend to catch and they don't break down like regular toilet paper. Regular toilet paper disintegrates. It just sit in water, and those wet wipes do not do that. So even if they say flushable, they're not. If you're going to use them, throw them in the trash, and it'll save you some headaches over time. But all that said, it is like just based off of this area, the line doesn't look real rough. It looks like it's holding shape. You can usually tell by the age if it starts channeling out the bottom of the pipe, and this at least at this point doesn't look that bad. There's probably plenty of life left in it. It's just because of the lack of access, we can't go back in towards the house. And so once it gets out just past this clean out, it switches over to clay, which is again just normal for this era of home. And clay is a good material. It doesn't rust or anything like that. There's a lot of the most common thing we see is this right here. You see some root intrusion at a connection. You can see the seam there, and it's pretty normal over time. They have a packing that goes in between the connections, and that stuff shrinks or basically shrinks back and allows a little bit of room for roots to get in. And there's nothing roots like more than, or trees like more than water and fertilizer all in one place. So this is a normal occurrence. For houses this age, you could probably talk to half the people on this street and they probably have some form of this, but it's not a major concern. It's something that can be handled with regular maintenance. So as long as you do regular maintenance on it, then the roots won't get big enough to start breaking the pipe or anything like that. And you can see they're little tiny finger roots. This one is down closer to the flow line, so it's probably going to be recommended that you do a cleaning in the near future. You can kind of see how it's starting to get down into where the flow line, or where the water travels along the bottom of the pipe. And so, like my camera is going past it, but that's a pretty big root ball. So this is probably going to need cleaning to begin with, and then from there you could use like a chemical treatment on a yearly basis. And I actually have to pause the video. I apologize. I have to move my truck. Okay, sorry about that. So I think what I was saying is, after you get an initial cleaning, yearly, you could use a stuff called Root-X, or there's many different brands. Root-X is kind of the Kleenex to tissue kind of thing. It's the brand name. But they usually recommend about once a year you put the stuff down there, and what it does is it kind of burns back the roots. It kind of kills the roots back. It doesn't kill the tree or anything. It just kind of burns back the root intrusion so that it doesn't grow enough to fill the pipe like it's starting to. And so an initial cleaning would be good, and then have use that Root-X treatment maybe once a year or so, and then after a few years it might be a good idea to get a reinspection and kind of see how things are looking, to see if you need to see if you can lengthen the maintenance schedule a little bit and not have to do it every year. The chemical treatment is not very expensive. You can do it yourself. It's just consumer grade stuff that you just put down your drain. There's directions on the bottle. But so far, once we got past the initial couple spots of roots, the line has looked really good. Structurally, overall, the line looks great. You just have that little bit of root intrusion at a few connections that can be taken care of, and with regular maintenance it shouldn't be a problem in the future. It's kind of and the preventative maintenance is the key on that, just to be sure that you keep that stuff down. Now, this cap was loose, so I'm sure they've cleaned this before in the past, so they may know something about it if you have a chance to talk to the seller. But we've made it all the way to the main, and again, everything looked great structurally. You just have a few spots with some root intrusion, so it's going to require some cleaning, a little bit and some future maintenance, but nothing major. It's all very common for this age and pipe material. A little bit of goo on the side there, but sounds like somebody's flushing some toilets and probably testing some of the plumbing right now on the interior. They do flow tests on the fixtures inside, so it's good. So any minute now, there you go. So we should still be able to see as we go back. And that kind of shows you how well the line's functioning also. See, stuff like that, that could be a little bit of like calcium deposits, calcite. If you were wondering what the white coloring stuff is, like a mineral deposit basically. Okay, so right about here, we start. So there's a little, it's a very tiny amount of root intrusion here, about 14 feet. We're probably going to have to give it a second because somebody just flushed again. And so the water is making it pass, but the biggest thing with these roots is that they can catch toilet paper, or like I mentioned with the wet wipes, they can catch those things, and if they don't break down, you know, normally the water would break it down, and then it'll eventually, you know, unclog itself or whatever. But in this case, you know, with roots, if you had those wet wipes, they could easily catch on the roots and then build up behind it. And so, yeah, 11 feet seems to be the biggest one. 8 and 11, but it's up to about 14 feet. So, starting at 4, so 4, 8, and 11 are the spots, but 8 and 11 are the major ones that should probably be cleaned before, you know, heavy use. So, but as you can tell, we are out of the clean out. So the line looked great structurally. No kind of structural issues. No bellies. There's not holding water in any of the spots, and so the only thing you have here is some pretty normal, relatively light root intrusion starting at about 4 feet, going up to about 15. But the worst ones are at 8 feet and 11 feet. 2 consecutive joints, which are probably this large bush / tree here on the front corner that's just kind of getting in and, you know, getting some food and water. The line looks good again structurally, so I'm just going to recommend a cleaning to get rid of those roots, and then I'm also going to recommend some, you know, preventative maintenance, some Root-X or some form of root treatment, probably yearly, to try to keep those at bay, so you don't have them, you know, the roots growing in like you're seeing there. They can get a lot heavier than that if left to their own devices. And then you do that once a year, and then maybe in about 5 years or so have another scope done if you're worried about it, just to kind of gauge the root growth and see if you need to alter the maintenance schedule, or you know, either by increasing the amount of time between it, because you may be able to get away with a lot longer than a year before even treating it. Again, it's not expensive to treat it, but they normally call for about a year. It just kind of depends on how fast the roots are growing, what kind of tree you have. So, but again, line looks great. Just needs a little bit of preventative maintenance, or at this point do some upfront maintenance, and then along the way do some preventative maintenance, and it should be good for years to come. So that'll end the inspection at 1101 Chateau Drive in Dayton, Ohio.